All right, and we're all getting seated and finding a spot. This is what I need you to do. Up here on the screen, you need to take your phone out. Okay, so since we're talking about digital media and technology, you need to take your phone out. And we are going to have a little quiz time just to see your knowledge on digital media and technology. So this is what you need to do. There's several letters up here. So Robert Eggless is what that is. So you need to text those numbers, or those letters, and then those numbers 353. So text that to 22333.
Can you make that bigger for the whole people?
No, I can't. Can you guys see it? Is everybody close anyway? R-O-B-E-R, it's not case sensitive. Robert, R-O-B-E-R-T-E-G-L-E-S-T 35322, and then you need to text it to this number, 22333. Got it?
No.
Did I hear a boom? Somebody got a boom there? Okay, so what we're going to do as we all get logged in and you get this, you should get a text back that says you're ready to go. Get another boom.
Hang on.
As you get it figured out and as you're able to get registered there, you need to answer this poll question. What is the average age children receive cell phones? So you got three options, 11, 10 and a half, or 9 and a half. This would be obviously an average age. So now we're even all the way across. So most everybody, okay? Right now, 11 is in the lead.
Wow.
Okay, the poll is full and no longer accepting responses. Okay, that's cool. All right, so it looks like everyone guessed 9 and a half.
Absolutely.
The average age is 10 and a half. Okay, so next one. Darren Sugg created Fortnite, and just so you know, that is spelled incorrectly. Fortnite, I believe it's N-I-T-E, right? Okay. Totally, someone else made this and they misspelled it, not me, okay? So Darren Sugg created Fortnite, true or false? So it's full, okay, great. The answer is true. Darren Sugg did create Fortnite. Next question. The iPhone was released. This would be the first iPhone released in 2007. True or false? And I do think that I believe the first iPhone that I ever saw held in my hands, Margot Stewart. I think it was the first one that I even had an iPhone. Okay, that is true. 2007 is when it was released. Fortnite is expected to be worth X amount of dollars by the end of 2018. 45 million, 500 million, 8.5 billion, 5.3 billion. All right, the answer is actually C, 8.5 billion. Who is the most famous YouTuber? In other words, who has the most subscribers, followers, whatever you call it on YouTube? Again, I did not make this poll. Poll is full. The answer is D, Hootie Pie.
Yes, that was right.
So into watching that, I have no idea what he does. All right. YouTube was released. YouTube was released in 2005. True or false?
It's false.
False is catching up. Poll is full. The answer is true. Was released in 2005. Fake news. Each minute, X amount of hours of video is uploaded to YouTube. Okay, the answer is A, 100 hours each minute. Facebook was released in February of what year? 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. Right. Poll isn't quite full yet. Okay, the answer is B, 2004, February of 2004. Two more questions. A Finstagram, what's known as a Finstagram, is a fake Instagram account. True or false? Okay, the answer is true. I do have to clarify this. I was running this by my daughter, who apparently is the expert on this, who said that a Finstagram really isn't fake because it is a real account, but it's designed to where kids can create their own sort of other social media account that's a different name that no one else would recognize, and they can accept whoever they want to in this account. So they can sort of have this private social media life that no one else knows about other than them and whoever they want to know about their account. When you take a snap from Snapchat, it is deleted from Snapchat users' accounts and servers. True or false? Okay. This is, I kind of clarify a little bit on this one too, because technically if you read in their policies, once someone sends a snap to someone else and they view the video, then in their policy it says that it's deleted from their servers. If it's sent and someone doesn't watch it, then they save it on their servers for 30 days, in which case after 30 days they would delete it from their own server. So it does say in the policy that it's deleted, but who knows exactly if that is true or not. Now, the next thing I want you to do is, at the tables there should be some name tags there, and this is what I want you to do with the name tags. Hopefully we have enough for everyone. If there isn't enough for everyone at your table, take it and just tear it in half and give it to someone else. The thing I want you to do is I want you to write your name on there, and the other thing that I want you to write underneath your name is a username account for some sort of social media account that you've had, an old email address, something that you look back on now, a name that you have had on social media, via an email, something like this, that you look back on and you think that's kind of embarrassing, okay? So, if you have an old email, like you have an old AOL email, I know Joe and Tara just got off AOL email, I think, but I want you to write that down, and I want you to share that with the people next to you.
I have the same. First one I had started, I still have it.
There was probably like a middle schooler saying mine that like I have an email address and my and so I'm like, I guess an email address is good. I got a job and she's
So if you are a gamer that kind of no one really knows about your gamer username, Dave, if you'd like to share your gamer stories,
It's not a social media account, but it is my
I
name.
know you've got some good stories.
Games or stuff. Or like,
For example, my mom, who was 60 at the time, her email address was bubblegumchick@yahoo.com. Like, Mom, that's doesn't work anymore. That's not right. So, write that down on your name tag, share it with everyone else at your table, okay?
was wondering what you were thinking there, but Fargot.
Nothing?
Fargot 777. It's like what I had for Words with Friends. Generation. Yeah. I still have it. But it's not embarrassing. It's just
I just hit. Yeah. That's funny.
head and bird if I'm not crazy. But I've had that since
I'm gonna ride
2008.
mine.
It's still my personal email. Yep. And I've had like 4 different work emails because I changed jobs. Right.
Yeah, I started before I started telling you.
How's it going?
You get a free reminder. So bring one to you.
This is the only tag I have is everything, so I'll put it. It's a name tag, and if you
Okay, as everyone is kind of getting in and seated, and you have everything, and you've shared all of your embarrassing social media account names, just a couple things that you need to know as we start off, okay? Does everyone have the book? Okay? This is the book that you should have received. We are going to be covering, other than this week, we talked about the introduction and the first chapter, so coming into each Wednesday night for the next 5 weeks, you need to be prepared and have read that chapter. Okay, so tonight should be the introduction in chapter 1. Next week we're going to talk about chapter 2. So as we go week to week, just read the chapter. They're pretty short. Should only take you about 15, 20 minutes. And that will bring you up to the speed on our discussion. The other thing that you should have is a 3-ring binder. So everyone should have a 3-ring binder as you walk in. Go over to Amanda if you don't have yours. I would like you to open that up and just go to, kind of give you a welcome to the class. We go to week 1, notes. We have space for notes each and every week. So if there is anything groundbreaking, Seth, that you learned tonight, I want this note sheet filled up.
Just text it to you.
Okay, just text it to me. That would be great. Also, at the end of our time, one of the things that we're going to do around our tables is just to be thinking about several questions to apply what we've learned. Okay, what you read from the week before, what we've talked about in here. The first question is, what's something new that you learned from the reading last week? You don't need to answer that now. We're just going to give you time at the end to sort of work through some of these questions. The second one is, what is one way that you plan to change your approach to technology and how it relates to your family based on what you've read and learned last week and tonight. And then finally, this is more the interactive part, finally spend the last few minutes sharing with the person sitting next to you how you answered the above question. So a little bit of built-in accountability, some discussion that can happen between the tables and how we can apply what we've heard and learned together. My name is Drew Henderson, and I know quite a few of you. There's some of you that I don't know. I get to work with our family ministry team and leading some of our staff at Sunnybrook at work with like nursery all the way to high school students. I work specifically with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and so I know that for many of you as parents, you come here looking for answers. I want to ask you this question. Why are you here? Why are you here? You don't need to answer that. I just want you to think about that question. Why are you here? And you're going to learn some new things, but we didn't come here necessarily just alone to come in and learn some new facts, just learn some things about trends or social media or what's the popular social media thing going on right now. We're going to learn some of those things, but the more that I talk to parents, the more that I realize that myself as a parent and that many of you come to something like this looking for answers, looking for help, We're going to learn more, but we're going to not just give you answers, not just give you help, or not just give you practical tips, but we're going to deal with some of these very real issues that some of you have. Maybe you're going through a situation like my kid. I gave him this phone, and it seems like, I don't want to say addicted, but it seems like they are spending a lot of time on this phone. See, I don't know if it's just because they're like maybe a young teenager, they're growing up junior high or going into high school, and they're just more reclusive. They're not talking to you as much. I don't know if that's because of this device or just their age or what they're going through. They seem to be like they're in their own world. They don't want to talk to us anymore. Maybe you've had more difficult situations, inappropriate messages that were sent by maybe your child or received by your child, and you're trying to work through and deal with all of those things. Those are all very, very common issues that parents are dealing with. And I would say that's why most of you are probably here. Some of you are here just quite honestly because this whole idea of digital media and technology, it just scares you. Raise your hand if it just scares you a little bit. Or a lot bit, right? You hear quotes like this and it freaks you out a little bit. It says, used within reasonable limits, of course, a smartphone can offer us new graces. But we're not using them within reasonable limits. They are the masters, we are not. They are built to addict us, to madden us, to distract, arouse us, and deceive us. We primp and perform for them as for a lover. We surrender our privacy to their demands. We wait expectantly for every like on social media. The smartphone is in the saddle, and it rides mankind. That's a big deal, isn't it? You read quotes like that, and it's kind of scary, some of the things that we think of when we think of digital media and social media. So we're overwhelmed and we're scared. And we want answers. And to be honest, for many of you, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, you believe that God has entrusted you to raise your children, to know Him, to honor Him, to respect Him. And that even flows down into their digital life even. That's crazy, it's their digital life. You feel responsible for that. So for Christians, followers of Jesus Christ, that's a big responsibility that God has given us. But at the same time, even if you're not a follower of Jesus, as a parent, you realize you have this responsibility. Even non-Christians realize this. Here's a quote by Steve Jobs. He said this in 2010. He says, "We do believe that we have a moral responsibility to keep porn off the iPhone." That's what he said 8 years ago. Now, in typical Steve Jobs fashion, this is how he finished the quote. He said, "Folks who want porn can buy an Android phone." That's what Steve Jobs said. Kind of referring back to this whole idea that in the early days they were very, and still are, control all the apps and different things that go on an Apple phone as opposed to a more open source situation. And that's not really the point. The point is that even Steve Jobs, as a non-Christian, realizes that he has a responsibility. All of us have a responsibility for the next generation. So we come here for answers. We come here with many different questions. And one of the main purposes that we're meeting is all the different questions that we have. I think usually they surround this whole idea of what can I do? What can we change? Is there one easy... I've had teenagers, family members come to me and say, "Man, if there's anything that we could do, just like a switch or something we could put on the internet so nothing bad comes in," right? This is something that is overwhelming all of us. So we ask these questions: what do we do? What do we do? What can we do? And I would say that we need to transition our thinking just a little bit. We are going to learn some different things to do, some practical suggestions, but I would like us to ask a little bit of a different question. And it's not so much what do I do, but how do I think about this? How do we, as followers of Jesus Christ, think about digital media? How do we think about technology? What does that mean for us? So that's kind of the main question and where we're going to be going over the next few weeks. How do we think about digital media and technology as followers of Jesus? But I would imagine that your story, your family, your story is probably not that much different than my story, we have a 17-year-old, we have a 15-year-old, we have a 10-year-old. Here in just a few years, he will be a young teenager as well. And our story, just to be quite honest with you, is that as parents, at least as a father, I thought that I had all the answers, right? As long as my kids were all, like 3 kids under 5 years old, I had all the answers. I had all the control. I knew everything about what it meant to be a parent. I knew how to control them. I knew how to force them to do certain things. And things just lined up. It was nice. It was easy. You had control. I had control. That's what we're supposed to have, is control of the situation. And one thing that you learn as a parent, especially when it comes to digital media and technology, is how quickly things can spiral what? Out of control. Quickly that can happen. I would like us also, no matter what background you're from, what your family is, and what your story is, I would like you to realize that over the next several weeks, there's going to be people around your tables that have all sorts of different approaches to this. You have some people that you might have younger kids, you might have kids in elementary school, young junior high students at this point, and maybe they just have a tablet, maybe they have no media at all, but maybe they have a tablet, don't have a phone, and you have this tablet and it's out in the family room, and really that's kind of the extent of it. You have on one end of the spectrum, that family. On the other end of the spectrum, you might have kids that are later in high school, maybe moving on into college. If you have kids in college, you also have kids still in high school. And their freedoms are completely different. And that mentality is, look, we have my kids here in our house, and as high school students, they have all sorts of different freedoms. And we believe that in our house, we're going to give them a pretty good amount of leeway when it comes to their phone. And they're going to have to figure this out. In a few years, they're going to be outside of our house. They're going to be living in a different area, and they're going to have to learn to make choices on their own. And if they're going to mess up, then I want them to have that kind of freedom in our house. And I want to work with them in this. I want to give them wisdom in this. I want them to be around us when they're going through this. Finally, I'd like to just preface this whole next several weeks by saying, in our family, you're going to hear stories about my family. That's kind of the only context that I know, and the only context that I can sort of speak through this, the context that I'm living. I want you to know that we don't have all the answers on digital media and technology. I know I've read a book. I know I have some children around me in my family, and I know that we regularly make some unwise choices, and occasionally we make some wise choices, so that's where we are. And I would say the people surrounding you at the table, there's going to be a wide spectrum of how you're dealing with this. And I would say that as Christians, there needs to be some leeway in some of the discussion. We need to have some liberty in this and just understand that up front. But I would also say that your story is probably not unlike my story. There was a analogy that they gave, I believe it's in the introduction or first chapter, of the game that was famous, arcades in the 80s, 90s, whenever. You could probably still find them somewhere, but the Whack-A-Mole game. Whack-A-Mole, have you guys seen this? The one where the mole head pops up and you just try to slam it down and all that stuff. So got a little video of a guy playing. You guys remember this game? Watch his response. This is awesome. Yes, the guy in the background that's videoing it said, "In your face!" And then he's like, "Okay, give me my teddy bear. That's what I want to do." But the analogy basically goes with this game right here. Maybe your story is somewhat like ours. When it comes to digital media technology, phones, it's kind of like playing this game. And I can remember going into the arcade and playing the game, and you put in your tokens, and then all of a sudden, the mole heads would just start coming up. It would start kind of slow, and you would take out this mallet, and you're hitting it. Like, I can do this. This is great. Jeremy is probably a professional at this game. So just hitting everything, and it's just going awesome. And then all of a sudden, it starts to speed up a little bit. Then you've got the mallet, and you're just hitting it, you're just going as fast as you can, as fast as you can. Eventually, it gets to the point to where they're coming up so fast that it just gets out of control. And I don't know about how you played this game, but eventually you start guessing, okay? You're like, where is it going to come up? And I'm just going to hit it and hope that everything goes the right way, right? And this is somewhat what it's like dealing with technology, dealing with smartphones. In the old days, when we could just ask the question, what do I do? It was easy to chase these things, right? I can remember my parents, the number one rules, no TV in your room, son. That's how we dealt with things. That was the extent. No cable television in there, right? So what do? You have the TV out in the family room, and it's there for everyone to see. Everything's out in the open, no problems. It's like you're playing the whack-a-mole game, and bam, parenting win. That was it. Okay? Then you get the internet. You guys remember this? You get the desktop computer, and it's plugged in, and you have the dial-up internet. And the number one thing is, you keep the computer where? Out in the open. You keep it out in the family. You can't have the computer in other areas of the house, and you've got to watch this, and it's nice and easy, right? What do? You keep it out in the open. It's like playing that game. Just one head comes up and bam, done. Parenting win. And then the smartphone. And then wireless. And then data. And then apps. And then GroupMe. And then add it on and fake accounts. All of these different things. And you get where I'm going with this. Just like the game. It starts coming up faster and faster and faster. And you guys have probably played this game before, right? I'm going to get on your account name. I'm going to get on your username. We're going to have this discussion, and it's going to be great. We had one this weekend, this nice little fight at our house. It was so awesome. And we had everything figured out, how we're going to just play this game, and you're going to listen to my rules, and I'm all for rules and controlling things. Don't get me wrong. But this is what we do. We chase this thing. And we realize, I believe many of us as parents, we keep playing this game so long, asking the wrong question, which is, what do I do? Instead of asking the right question, how do I think about this? How can we transform our thinking toward digital media and technology? The problem is that we keep asking that question over and over and over, and we never change our approach. And for many parents, what we do is metaphorically, we just take that mallet, we put it down, and we're just saying this, I'm out. There's too much to chase, too much to do. I have to have a part-time, I would need to hire someone part-time to monitor everybody around this house. It's crazy. But we need to ask a different question. We need to get a completely different way of thinking. I want you to write this first down in your notes. Something that you've probably read before. Romans 12, 1 and 2. And I would like to say from the outset, how we approach digital media and technology for us as Christians is totally different than the way the rest of the world views things. Okay? We view this in such a way that our minds have to be transformed by the gospel so we can ask this question. How do we deal with this? How do we think about this? It begins always with the gospel. Romans 12, 1 and 2, this is out of the ESV. It says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual act of worship. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by the testing you may discern what the will of God is, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Romans 12, 1 and 2. So how is it that we develop this new way of thinking? The thing that you have to understand about your family, about you, about your children, about us as a church is the only way that we can transform our thinking and ask that right question. How do I think about digital media and technology? Is by the gospel that transforms us. That is what enables us to think differently about these issues. And so as families, one of the things that we have to understand is our goal isn't simply just to raise good church-going kids, okay? Although I'm really all about kids going to church. It's huge, very, very important. We're not about creating just good moral families. Those things would be the result of the transformation of the gospel. And it applies to all these different areas. All different areas of life, including digital media and technology. That's the only way that we can begin to ask that right question. How do we think about this? That's what will empower our children, actually. We can make a lot of rules right now. And I would say that's probably a good thing for many of us to do. To make a lot of rules about digital media and technology while we deal with the heart. That is what really needs to be changed by the gospel in the first place, is their hearts. One day our daughters are going to walk out of the doors of our homes. They're going to walk into a world, and they're going to be tempted to send inappropriate things to other young men. Young men might be tempted to receive these messages. But one day these children of ours will leave our houses. They will statistically probably get married. They're going to raise a family. They're going to raise the next generation. And they're not going to be under our home, our roofs, and under our ultimate control. So I would say, if you want to write this down in your notes, the overarching thought question that we're going to answer is, first, how do we think about digital media and technology? But it's this. So based on our faith in Jesus and the renewed mind that the gospel gives us, how do we lead ourselves and our children? Realize it's not just them. It begins with us. We like to critique and comment on our kids and their phone addiction. And then you look at us, right? So how do we lead ourselves and our children to make wise choices in the area of technology? And the truth is that wise choices always begin with the heart. And there's no better place to go than social media or the internet to see someone's social media account and see really where their hearts actually are. Just go there and look. Their hearts are exposed. My heart is exposed. It shows the things that we value, the things that we like, and show our passions and our priorities, all of the different things that we value, we have put out there for the world to see. And it begins with the heart. Yet the mistake that we often make is that we always assume when it comes to the heart, which then makes within us, that enables us to make the choices that we make, that the thing about it is that we always assume that the heart is pure. That our kids' hearts are just pure. That is true, I believe, in a sense, that God has revealed himself to us, and he's put this law on our hearts, and we know right and wrong. And I believe that that's true in that sense. But at the same time, when you read the Bible, you read passages like Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is wicked and deceitful above all things. That would be yours and mine and our kids. And you read a little bit longer passages like Romans 1 will be on the screen. This is the ESV version. I've got a different version I'm going to be reading from. I think it's the NIV. But Paul in Romans chapter 1 is writing this letter to a church. And he's laying out for them this case that all people have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God in Romans 3:23. In chapters 1 and 2, he's just building this case. And this is what he says about all mankind. He says, furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so that they would do what ought not to be done. They become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, depravity. They're full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice. So maybe this is maybe a mission statement for teenagers, these next couple verses. They're gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. I really like this. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they knew God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. So before we talk about digital media and technology, we have to look ultimately at the heart. And maybe, sometimes just maybe, whenever we look at social media, you might look at your kids' accounts that they have. And it's a tough thing to view those, because it reveals the heart. It reveals their true self, what they value, what they love. Yet the good news of the gospel is that God can change your heart. And the overflow of the changed heart is a changed life and how they interact with devices and all of these different social media accounts and different things that they have. Ezekiel 36:26. I'll just read this. He says, I will give you a new heart, put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. So I don't know where your teenager might be. I know that many of you have teenagers. Some of you have younger children. I don't know where their heart is. But the beginning point that we have to start with is the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that is that God can change a heart. And when a heart changes, then choices change. The way that they view things changes. The way that they deal with digital media and technology, that changes as well. So that is, no matter what background you come from, that is where we begin this whole series. Just a few things. You might put these in your notes too, some different things that we're going to cover over the next 6 weeks. Then we're going to do a little activity together, which is going to be awesome. First week, obviously, we're talking about why right-click. We're going to be talking about what technology is, what digital technology is, and then as Christians, how we respond to digital media. The second week, next week, we're going to be talking about this question: why do my kids constantly check their phones? And then we're going to ask ourselves the question, why do we always constantly check our phones? Each night we're going to have some different guests that are going to be with us. Next week we're going to be talking with Kevin Calvert. Kevin is back there. He is a computer guru, and so if you have any questions about digital technology and everything, Kevin is your guy, and he's now leaving. But Kevin is going to talk about some of the different practices that he has put into his own life. It just amazed me whenever I was talking to you, Kevin, about like, okay, so I only check my email every hour. So I only have my messages come in every 20 minutes. And you have all this stuff set up on your phone, and you're going to share with us how you do that, how that eliminates different distractions, and you've seen how that has really changed your heart and how you interact with all these different things. So Kevin's going to share with us. Also, Starla is going to share with us. We're talking about specifically young teenagers and high school students and their whole idea of identity formation. Starla is an educator, is going to share with us about identity formation and how that is very, very unique to teenagers and young teenagers especially. And not just that, but how that then overflows to how they form their identity with their online friendships and how this works together with digital media and technology. So we'll be talking about that next week. Week 3, how can I help my family be together when we are in the same room? Okay, so if you're like me, you can walk in the door and all of a sudden there's 4 people on their phones. You know, I have to join the party, man. We'll take out my phone too. We'll all sit here. It'll be great looking at our phones. So Paul Weiss is going to share with us, Paul and Julie. He is the king of old school board games and cards and gaming. And if you want to know someone that can really build community and get people talking, and if that's a struggle with your family, like it is my family, he's going to come and share with us how we can do better with that. Tim Reimer is also going to be here talking about how he is using devices for good, even with younger children. So I know some of this content is very applicable for teenagers. This will be aimed at more younger age kids, elementary, even down into preschool age. The 4th week, how can I supervise what my kids are saying and sharing without making them feel like they're under surveillance? And Kim Henderson's going to be our guest speaker. She's going to be speaking for an hour and a half tonight. It is going to be awesome. She's an expert at this. But really, how do you watch without feeling like this really weird, creepy parent? Although I think God does call you to be a weird, creepy parent at times, and that's totally cool and okay. But how do we do that in the right way? Week 5, how can I help my kids become good digital citizens? We've affectionately named that Porn Night. We're going to be talking about the dangers of pornography. As we've not heard about that enough, time and time again, we're going to hear about it again because we need to hear about that. Then the 6th week, how and when can I gracefully take off the media training wheels? Bob Eggleston is going to come in and share that night. Kind of the whole idea that we're going to be talking about there, and Kevin, I'm going to have you help that night too, is how, like, different things that you can do to your home. How do you lock down the Wi-Fi the best that you can? How can you monitor data usage the best that you can? Basically, how to set your kids free in this crazy world, yet keep watch on what's going on. So we're going to be talking about that on the last group. Now, this is what I want you to do at your tables, okay? We're going to answer several of these questions. So this kind of has to do with your name tags and your online name at one point. So what I want you to do, the first thing is go around the table, share your name, so tell everybody your name, and share with everyone the first cell phone that you can remember having. What kind of cell phone was it? Okay? So just, everybody's looking at me. Turn. So share your name and the first cell phone that you can remember having.
I had a Nokia. Once I went over it. About that big.
Oh, it didn't even
No,
flip.
it wasn't even a flip.
It was just-
buttons
Because
on
it
the
was
front,
next to
screen
the-
about the size of a snake. About that big. I did one over it.
Just
No, actually. Flip phone, like a razor.
flip or slide.
It just had like a cover over something. The flip didn't actually do much. It just covered something.
Yeah.
You had a cube. I think before that, was that your first phone as a cube?
It was Sliver.
That was a smartphone. He was a smartphone.
Oh no, that wasn't it. My first one was Sliver. I'm pretty sure. It did take pictures. That was the big feature.
That first
I was
one.
like, oh my gosh, it takes a picture. And it was so blurry. Oh yeah. You could, I mean, it just had the number buttons. So you had to like,
You could text it. You had to push the button.
you had to push the buttons. You
It was fairly old.
Color.
The first cell phone I had didn't even read stuff. It just died.
Hurry.
Cell phones came out while I was in college. They didn't have them.
Some
I
people
was
said
almost done.
I got mine.
Bag phones were around in high school.
My dad had a car phone. He had a car phone. I mean, nobody could call.
I didn't get my cell phone.
Oh yeah, I had a beeper.
My first
Oh, beepers are so
It
big.
was
Why don't you touch that?
that big. It was a scramble thing. You just all try to get small. And then
My Nokia was about that big, but it was about that wide. It was about half as wide as that.
yeah, it was all erased for thin, small, little things.
Yeah, like the razor was
All of a
huge.
sudden we started texting.
It'd be like the size of the
It's amazing to think about it only in other countries.
It really
2007 when that first came out.
8 gig.
Was it that big?
8 gig.
There were already Blackberries. I know they did.
Blackberries came out.
I remember BlackBerry. Murdered all the BlackBerry hype. I had a BlackBerry for a minute. I hated it.
I love mine. It took me a long time to switch off.
All right.
When I got my first phone, we had to buy minutes.
Can I have a show of hands? Number of people that had a bag phone. Several people had a bag phone. Awesome. All right, so as you finish that one up, this is the next question that I want you to ask. Everyone share on this. How has technology been a positive experience for your family? So, think hard. How has technology been a positive experience for your family?
I think I have photomatic.
It only works when the problem happens to be nice and perfectly
If you're
laid
the
out.
teacher, you want to be like, okay,
The rest of the time, I just tell Siri to give me an answer. And find some YouTube.
how is it that I had
the efficiency of it is what helps me less, I think, a lot of it. Just 'cause, like, quick texting, dropping pins of where you're at, hey, send you a quick text because you can't always answer the phone now with your kids or something, whatever.
Love
The,
the resources.
the efficiency of it is definitely.
Is it better than just the cell phone? Is it more efficient than just the cell phone and just call?
Well, I mean, I just think about like if Amber's wanting me to do something in Walmart, I'm like, I don't know what that is. And she's sending me a picture.
Yeah.
Like, get this
Or you can use
brand
FaceTime
of-
and tell me which one it is.
So you know, so everybody's family like this whatever they want, especially when they're little. Yeah, it'll send it alert.
when you get out of a geofence of some sort.
There's geofencing. So like when she arrives back at home, everything will just automatic right. Yeah. Just because of it. I mean, new geofence.
We've got the find your friends.
Yeah, we can.
No, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Went by a girl's house after school and they went on.
that we got for they all have one. Each has one and it gets that. But I actually bought this truck. So they can it's just so good. And we're not doing
Does
like
Maggie have a phone? All of our friends, kids' friends are getting phones. Like everywhere. All of those.
So I've got a few that so we kind of community and we went so there's this aerial fabric. No, but that was really athletic. Gymnastics and whatever. And like Cirque du Soleil type stuff where you can flip, pull yourself up and it's like kind of yoga. Whatever. She wants fabric to just work out like do clothes.
Hang from the city.
And I'm like, oh, that you would give me a and her friend was really, really innocent next to that native street. She's like, you know what? These are really good exercises. But it was like,
So as you're finishing that up, let's
and
kind
then
of
I'm like, let's try some
turn the table a little bit. So we have a lot of, sometimes it's easy to just think about all the bad things, but there are a lot of great advantages to the technology that we have today. Now, share a little bit about some of the ways that technology has negatively influenced your family. Challenges, struggles that you've had. Share with people at your table on that. This could go on for a long time.
It starts fights. It starts fights at our house with the kids and the kids' parents. They want to use that. They want to take it upstairs. They want to use it while they're going to bed. They want to listen to music while they're going to bed. They want to set their own alarm. You can't have that.
So when they got one, Dina said, those are ours. So that if they start, and there's supposed to ask to do it out,
But
they don't. But then it starts kind of looking into it. They start dragging it around. They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because they start, and then if there isn't a situation, whenever I'm like, oh, no, let's put this out where I'm right now. And if one of them's like, oh, I didn't know if there's an emotion response to this. Because, but then I'm like, well, what if somebody was like, yesterday?
Biggest negative to
Yeah.
comparing yourself to kids. Mallory's had an iPad since she's 12, and we just got a home iPhone. We don't have a home phone. So we realized, okay, the girl comes home from school, and you gotta have something in the house. So we gotta have a phone. Drew. She had Pinterest and I found out she could communicate with Pinterest.
we gave you like a 40% chance to get it all up there. We're glad to have you. We're moving. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks.
You may not have exactly so-and-so has this.
Well, that's like when we go stay the night with somebody. That's my first. Like I feel like I have to have a conversation with dad or mom. You know, about like, hey, well, your kid has a phone and I get it, but you know, I don't want my kids to have it with a phone. All of, I mean, Maggie's the only one I know that has it. They're closer.
Well, and also, I mean, can't we just hang out with each other? I'm like, you're there with your yes. Some of the parts.
Then you borrow the mom and dad's phone.
You do what you did
We
before
knew
you got
this
home.
a few years ago. It wasn't that.
Just like we knew how to get someplace when we left the house.
Right.
We didn't just get in our car and then go, okay, now how do I get there?
You go in and say, hey, I'm coming along. That's what you do.
I remember being turned loose when I was 16 years old to drive to Kansas for a soccer camp. And I was
Yeah.
like, here's MapQuest, make sure your tank's full. See you. I mean, I had a cell phone, but it didn't do any good to me. It was like, I didn't want to us only.
Oh, so no, we don't allow it. Or then that's the big problem. There's been a lot of kids. We just have said no because I didn't know how to close the open up door.
Yeah, it's done.
So we just said no. Sixth grade. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Somewhere. Somewhere. You turn it on, I put it on. She knew her account was on my phone and I was getting everything.
Every yeah.
And I did that for years.
Nice. Yeah, but you know.
And somewhere along the way she figured it out because she started to lose it. So now we're going to do this.
Say, yeah. Yeah. Well, and Bella, all of our kids had it supposed to, so they're with us, so they haven't been getting anyone else. But, like, some of Bella's friends will grab her iPad and start acting on test. And Bella's deleted it, but, you know what I mean? And they're doing it all the time. I remember getting phones and, you know, having the core. Communicating with my friends and building friendships. So outside of they see each other.
But now it's the texting groups, right? Message, right? You can do like 10 people on it.
Yeah.
And they name their groups now. So group name goes through. So it's like besties here and then there's another bestie. As soon as you remove someone, they know they're going to.
Oh yeah.
They do. So they know they're going to. They're trying to make this really good and plays out with the text, which is really easy.
Hey, brutal.
Yeah, that's yeah. Right. Yeah. Having a time.
Are our kids going to
I don't either. I'm really bad.
I wonder. My kids have no idea about oh yeah, maybe there's something on the other side of this that they're not going to put in that world. And that's the thing that I'm how do you handle that?
I mean,
Well, I think there's two sides to that. Because they can be stuck on that side, but just like the directions. Like, I'm almost to the point where I can't get anywhere without my phone. But I mean, our kids are never like going to know
All right.
like street names.
As we
or
wind
south
down
is-
that question,
Like the fact
I
of
want
where
you
the dividing
to
line from north and south is in your
look in your
county.
binder there. If you
That's important
turn
know.
to the last couple pages, just as kind of explain a few few of these things in the back. There's a bunch of different extra resources. Many of these are blog posts that were written on a blog that is put out by Fuller Theological Seminary, the people that were responsible for a number of different projects, research with teenagers in digital media. They also wrote this right-click book. There's several different posts that are off of their blog that we've included there for you to read sometime on your own time. And at the very end, it says number 5, a little theology of technology, the last couple pages there. We're going to read kind of the story of technology. And so for some of us, we think technology really started about 2007 with the iPhone. And so I figured I'd share with you. My first cell phone was the Nokia on the left. Probably like many of you, that was my first cell phone. And it was really weird. I started at Sunnybrook in 2001, and the way that we did it was whenever I came on staff, they gave me a phone. Like a guy was leaving and they gave me his phone. And that's how I got it. That was my church phone. And my home phone, my church phone, my beeper, everything else. And it's like, I got the phone, like, this is gross, man. Some guy's face has been on this, and we used to talk on the phone a lot. And they gave me the case. I'm like, dude, that case is nasty. I do not want that on there. And then my first iPhone was not that one. It was the iPhone 4. Mark Thomas got it for me at church camp when the day that it came out. That was so cool. Anyway, story of technology. Let's go back to the beginning. So technology did not just emerge about 11 years ago. Let's go back to the beginning. It says, in the beginning, under the story of technology there. It's out of a book called A Little Chapter, A Little Theology of Technology, written by Tony Reinke, 12 Ways Your Phone is Changing You. If you're a reader and you like to read 300-page books and bigger books and that kind of stuff, that might be a good book for you to read and pick up sometime. But it says this, in the beginning, God created Adam out of mud and Eve out of a rib. Yahweh bent down and exhaled breath into their lungs, and they awoke into a strange world of oceans and sunshine and mountains and fruit and unnamed animals, untilled soil, and untapped materials such as diamonds, gold, silver, and iron. God first commanded his creatures to make babies, to collect food, and to govern the animals. But in those early commands, God already had drawn his end game into his blueprints. The garden was only a beginning. The goal was a globe of technological advancement leading to a creation so refined that the city streets would be paved thick with crystal gold. A creation so radiant and luminescent that we can hardly imagine what it will look like in the end. So when Adam and Eve awoke and walked into the garden, an unseen, much larger plan was also set in motion. The untilled garden would become a glorious city. We find ourselves in the middle of this garden to city unfolding of history. And God is governing the entire process in several ways. Between the guardrails of natural law as well as the guardrails of abundance and scarcity, of certain raw materials in the earth and carried forward through his image bearers, each wired for innovation, the trajectory of technological progress from the garden to the city was set into motion. This process is entirely initiated, intended, and guided by God. But between the muddy rural beginning of the garden and the gleaming urban finale, we must fill in the story because that is where we find ourselves. East of Eden, west of the great city, journeying now in God's sovereignly guided history, holding smartphones. Kind of interesting, isn't it? That's the story. That's where we find ourselves. And so God has given us this creation that we would create and that we would cultivate and that we would make even new technological advances. And we're thankful for those good things. Medical advances, communication, some of the different things you've probably shared at your table. GPS, how awesome is it that we don't have to use paper maps anymore? My dad still does. And the GPS. So that's confusing. It's like he's arguing with the GPS. Weird, but that's what he does. So God has given us all of these tools that we can fix things. We have a joke in our family. Whenever we go to Las Vegas of the Midwest, that would be Branson. In Silver Dollar City, Kim likes to take the kids on the roller coasters, and I like to observe ancient technology, the blacksmith. And you got to do is take out that iron, put it over the fire, and you just watch him beat this material into something so awesome as this tool, a sword, whatever you want to make out of it is just awesome. Rudimentary technology, but it's technology nonetheless. So we use it for good. But we can't deny still, whenever we go back to Romans 3:23, that all of us have this sin problem within us, and we can use technology for evil. We can use it for the exploitation of power. We can use technology that has the power to isolate us from the kind of community that God wants to give to us. We see bullying within technology. We see all of these things. And so God has given us this ability to have technology, and we can use it for good, and we've seen it used for evil. But that is the story where we find ourselves. There's going to be a survey in the middle of your table. I want you to take that survey and fill that out. Okay? So if we don't have enough for everybody, that's okay. Just as many people that can. Please fill out that survey. And I want you to take just a couple minutes to do that, and then we're going to finish up with a few application points. And then we'll have about 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes or so, for you to work on some application at your table, on your note sheet, different ways you're going to apply this to your life. So if you could, fill out that survey right now. That will help us get a lot of the directions set, that help us kind of deal with some of the specific issues and find out ways that we can be more helpful as we teach the next several weeks. right, as you finish the survey, you just put it in the middle of the table there. And we'll grab them as we finish up tonight. And as we kind of wrap it up here toward the end, I would like us to just think about a couple different things, a couple different application points. Whenever we talk about digital media, social media, technology, all of these things, as parents, it just seems like it's this dark cloud. It's like, is anything good coming of this conversation? So here's a few things that I would challenge you to do and to think about as you leave here. The first one is, when it comes to this subject, I would challenge you to be in community and laugh a little bit about this. I don't know when it might have hit your house, but about 5 months ago, Fortnite fever just emerged in our house. I have no idea how it even got there. I really don't. It just happened. And all of a sudden, this whole new world was going on. We had no idea what this was all about, other than the boys were totally obsessed with it. And one day, we're downstairs, and we have this upstairs where they play their games and different stuff. We had like things that they used to play with. Like we bought them this really cool basketball goal, and it sits there while they play Fortnite. And all the stuff that we have set up. And as they're playing the game, I'm hearing like a loud voice, like a man's voice. I'm like, what? Who is that? I didn't know who came over. If anyone came over the house I didn't know about. And so they're playing the game. Someone's playing the game with them. I go upstairs and I say, who is this? And Eli goes, it's Zane Sutherland, our children. And he's playing with it. And Zane was playing Fortnite with the boys. It's like, hey man, you don't think that's weird, do you? I said, no, I think it's awesome. I said, just keep on with this. This is great. But man, there has to be some community and ways that we can laugh about this. I think that's okay to bring people around us that share what we really believe about the ultimate things of God and what's really important in life, and that if they're like involved in that part of their life, that's cool. Seth, I talked to Rachel about this, but I'm just going to show a few pictures here of your daughter. I follow Seth's daughter Joy on Twitter, and I just kind of have had a playful relationship, kind of make fun of her a lot. And so she's posting different things. She posted, singing shout out to my ex with my girls is the best feeling. And I just commented, I know, right? Like, she knows that, and she'll laugh at that. And so I think I sent a screenshot to you and Rachel, and she said, I think it's cool that other people are watching her, right? And so I would say to you, what other people are speaking into your own children's lives and saying the very same things that you're saying? Because I know after a while, it can just become overbearing, and it's just like, Dad, shut up. I'm sick of hearing from you. But when they hear this in good, fun ways from other people, they kind of know, look, what I'm posting is out there. People are watching. They know what I'm posting. And so you need to have other people speaking those truths into your kid's life. Another picture I saw, this is the fun Joy night. This is a picture that she posted. This is when she got her car when she turned 16. How awesome is that? And so we kind of cut the bottom of that, but she's standing on top of her car, and this is like a real flower. So this was really thought about. Like, I'm going to park my CRV in front of these flowers, and it's going to be so cool, and I'm going to be free. Hello, world. And if you know Joy, this is what she does. And so I saw the next post, Seth, that you did. That was legit. She got her new car, you got your new car. It's like, hey, I haven't passed my car on to you. I might as well do the same thing. And so that's what she did with some awesome sunglasses, women's sunglasses, I might add. So cool about that. And what was the next thing? Oh, I thought there was another picture. Oh, maybe there's not. But anyway, she said something. I don't even know what to do with this when she posted that on social media. But anyway, so we need to laugh about that, laugh about some of these things that seem to be so difficult to deal with. And then the last question I would ask you is, how engaged are you? Look on page 31 of the book, the bottom several sentences that are in bold there. It says, investing your time in reading this book is evidence that you refuse to parent in autopilot mode. And I know, the older you get, the older your kids get, it gets real easy to go into autopilot mode. And that's half the battle when it comes to digital media. I think your kids might fight you, but I really believe that they want to know that you are not mailing it in and that you're not in autopilot mode, that you're continuing to fight this battle. They view it as against them, but I'm telling you, deep down inside, I really think they believe that you are for them when they realize that you are not giving up. I was talking to a young man who's in college now and is married, and he was talking to me about some of the different experiences that he had with digital media, all the stuff that's going on when he was in high school. And I was telling him about this class. I said, well, is there anything that I need to know that I would be able to tell parents, things that would encourage them, things that you would have liked other people to speak into your life and your parents to continue with? He said, you know, I had a struggle in high school with pornography. And my dad would talk to me about it occasionally. But he said, if I could go back, I wish my dad would have not let it go. I wish that he would have kept bothering me. I wish that he would have kept telling me it was wrong, it was wrong, it was wrong, and not stopped. So he said, I don't think that would have stopped this issue that I had, but I think it would have been better. And I just want to encourage you as we leave and as we think about kind of the application here for a few minutes. What's it look like for you as a parent to not give up? What does it look like to not give up and continue to fight? Fight for the heart of your child, for the glory of God, and what God is going to do in your family as you honor Him. So, on your note sheet there, week 1, if you go to the bottom of that, just a few questions that I want you to work on. You can do it just there silently. If you're with someone else, you can talk to them about it. But just work through these 3 application points. One is, what is something new that you learned from the reading last week? What's one way you plan to change your approach to technology and how it relates to your family based on what you have read and learned last week and tonight? And then finally, spend the last few minutes sharing with the person sitting next to you how you answered the above questions. I think it's important that we're able to hold one another accountable. Other people would know, as appropriate, how they can continue to challenge you along the way. So we'll give you about 5 minutes to do that, and we'll let you go. I do need several guys, if you can, to stay back, and we need to stack these chairs and tables. So if you're available afterwards, if you could please just stay and do that, help me. It'll take like 2 minutes. It won't be hard at all, and then we'll be ready to roll.
Admittedly had kind of a what do you do? Like, how do I monitor this? How do I, you know what I mean? Instead of having more conversations about